Basil, recently 10 UN experts made a statement about the situation in Sri Lanka, expressing concern about attacks on journalists and human rights activists. Can you explain the background to this?
Yes, what the 10 UN experts have stated is that there is a climate of fear throughout the country. And that's a fact that is recognized by everybody in the country. So it's encouraging to see that the UN has begun to recognize this fact. The fear comes from the fact that there are attacks on anybody who does not seem to follow the line with the government. About over a dozen journalists escaped the country within the last 2 weeks. Their names have been published. Just on the 8th of January, one of the leading journalists in the country, who was the editor of a Sunday newspaper, was assassinated on the streets during around 10:30 in the morning. He was given death threats over and over again. So he was fully aware that there were people to kill him. But he wanted to demonstrate that people cannot be intimidated in this way. So he wrote a long letter about this whole episode, and he went in his car, and 4 motorcyclists surrounded the car in a bazaar, way, just in the midst of a high street, and murdered him. Up to date, there nobody has been arrested. No serious inquiry is being conducted. He himself said, "I do not expect that there will be an inquiry into my death, despite of the fact that the government will make a lot of noises saying that we will inquire." Strangely, few days later, editor of a government paper was also attacked. He narrowly escaped death, and thereafter he has now he can is okay, and he wrote an article to the newspaper and said, "Till the perpetrators of this crime are found, I will hold the government responsible, and I will hold the president responsible." So the what is happening is there are one after the other attack on individuals, attacks on press. There was one major press called Sirasa TV. Was heavy damage was caused to the this TV station, because it is an independent TV station, and it's very often give space for the opposition parties to express their views. No inquiry. And then several lawyers. Now this is not just for journalists. Some lawyers who are appearing for human rights activists, 2 grenades were thrown in the house of one lawyer. And that happened on the 26th of September last year. Up to date, no inquiry. Very senior lawyer, well-known lawyer. But Bar Council itself, the Lawyers Association, passed a resolution. Lawyers got into the street and went for demonstration. Nothing happened. So the last week, lawyer's office was burned because he's appearing for a lady whose husband was killed because he was a complainant in a case. And ever since, that happened in September 20th last year, ever since, she's in hiding. She has appealed for protection. Nobody gives her protection. So her life is also under threat. You can make complaints, nothing happens.
Basil, does this mean that, as one of the experts also pointed out, that there is a crisis not only of law, but in general a crisis of governance? There is no more governance. The governance and the government of Sri Lanka is no longer really functioning as such.
That is basically the issue. The many years, because there was this fight or the conflict with the LTTE, a terrorist organization. All the discussions were around that issue. The government will say that the LTTE is attacking us, and the LTTE will say that the government will attack us. The media is full of pictures and all this about the war. So this is what people had almost now for 20 years. They have no time to ask, well, I am assaulted by somebody. What happens to my case? My neighbor is murdered. What happened to that case? I gave a loan to somebody. I cannot get it back. Now what happens to that? None of these things were of any importance. So virtually the discourse was occupied by this mega conflict. But now people, it's begin to dawn that there's a bigger crisis than this. The entire system of governance has collapsed. And there's a very good reason for this. In 1978, we changed our form of governance. We were a country which recognized separation of powers, parliament, executive, judiciary. In 1978, somebody got into his head that it is better to have a government which recognizes only the executive. So, executive president was created with powers that in no other country it has been given to anybody else. Perhaps except to Idi Amin or somebody like that. So, you get a utterly stupid situation where the total power is given to one man. Parliament has no power. The judiciary is undermined. There is nobody to stop him. There is no cabinet to control. So the thing is, you can't do that. Nobody is God. You can't run every institution and you can't say, well, I'm now going to hire the Attorney General. I can find out who the best man is. There has to be a system. And you cannot say that, the police, there is this police. I'm going to decide whether that crime should be investigated or not.
In that case, Basil, this might be the reason why there are no real investigations, because even investigations may be suggested or stopped by the highest authority.
Yes, if you use the human rights language, the government is incapable and unwilling. There are both factors. It is incapable because the instruments through which it must act is dysfunctional. Now say a police station. If you go to make a complaint, most probably your complaint will not be taken. Lawyer goes to inquire about it, lawyer gets assaulted. The lawyers association go to complain about it, nobody does anything. People go and tell the president, this is like that, and then nothing happens. So there is an incapacity now. The policing system in Sri Lanka is at the very bottom. Of course, this is not a new thing for us. The Asian Human Rights Commission has for almost 15 years said the major problem in Sri Lanka is that its policing system has collapsed. You imagine that in Colombo is the capital. It's a peaceful place. It is not the war zone. If Colombo is like this, all this incident happened in Colombo. If it is like that, then what about north and east? There had been war for 20 years. The policemen, virtually cannot function. The police stations don't function. Civil service administration, they can hardly do anything. Where do the people turn to? And then the north is worse. People are trapped between the LTTE and the government. There are displaced people, thousands of displaced people all around. See, the basic problem is this. Government has abdicated its duty to uphold the rule of law.
So, Basil, I think the basic issue is not only the war, but really looking at the very essence of governance, which is the rule of law.
Very correct.
Yes, thank you.